of August 1984 in Palakkad in a government hospital. To a father who was working in the central government, and my mother was a housewife. Both my parents come from Kerala, so that's why I'm Malayali. My father was working for a central government establishment here in Bangalore. There is a township here called DRDO, which stands for Defence Research and Development Organization. It's also known as Sri Ramanagar. And it's a township in itself, it's a world in itself. It's a place where everything is pretty organized, there's a lot of discipline to life. Everything goes in a certain schedule. So it's a township where you have a cinema theatre, where you have screenings every Friday, Saturday. I remember 28th February 2000 was when my last exam was there for my semester. And then the movie Kahuna Pyare was a big hit. And so we all decided that we have to see this movie. And it was already running for about 2 months, I think. So me and my friend, my best friend then, his name is Naveen. So both of us went to Lido Theatre, which is now got renovated and stuff. Which is about 7-8 kilometers from home. We took a bus, we reached, watched the movie. And after I watched the movie, I was completely affected by it. I don't know what happened to me. I was completely infatuated. I don't know what. Basically by 2-3 things. One, by whatever Hrithik Roshan did in that film, something happened to me. Secondly, Hrithik Roshan's dance. That really fascinated me. I was completely blown off. And the third was, of course, that I got infatuated and I had a crush on Amisha Patel. I don't know why. I regret it now, but anyway. So after the movie got over, me and my friend Naveen, we were so engrossed and affected by the film that we ended up talking about the film and we walked home without realizing we were walking home. So we ended up walking 8 kilometers home without catching a bus and just talking about the movie and essentially Hrithik Roshan and everything around it. So when you're in the, when you're finishing 11th standard, you're given an opportunity to present a program for your seniors who are passing out from 12th. So the farewell party. So it was, I had planned it in a way that there was this song Dil Mein Dil Ko Pukara from Kahuna Pyare, and then there was this, in the audio cassettes then you had this sad version of every title song which used to come, the B-side last song. So I clubbed that with this song and made an 8-minute 40-second piece or something. And I always also was interested in seeing some kind of dramatic movement in the song. It was not just dance or going, but some kind of narration possibly. Somewhere in the end you're feeling sad about something or something like that. So we did this dance, and that was a big turning point in my life again. The show happened really well, and there was a lot of applause, a lot of recognition, a lot of again, if I should use the term local fame in school, everybody knew me, they all meet me, and things like that followed. My seniors came running and saying, where the hell are you in my school? I didn't even know you could dance so well, and things like that. So there's a lot of attention that came, and my parents were also impressed that he pulled off something of a certain degree in this way, and he could actually do something like that. So I remember going back to my room that evening and looking at myself in the mirror, and what it taught me was just this one thing, that what I believed works in front of the mirror inside my room works in the outside world. That's what I understood from that experience. In my 12th standard, so 11th had gotten over in my 12th, in the first unit test that we had, which was out of 50 I think, I scored 13 marks in physics. And it had never happened in my life that I have come close to the border mark. And I had failed. And my parents were deeply upset. I thought, this guy's lost it. And I must also tell you a small story which kept happening through my life, is that I have a cousin. I was born on 17th August, she was born on 18th. And she was my mother's brother's daughter, my cousin, first cousin. And she was good with academics. And she invariably scored a little more than me in every class. So there were invariable comparisons which I have been going through all through my life with my 11th standard. And her father that evening came home and he asked me this classic question, like, have you actually lost the ability to study? And that really hit me, and I was very humiliated by it. And my mother also was affected by it. Things had suddenly changed. And I remember going to the balcony in the night and breaking down and just asking myself, that was one of those rare moments where I really doubted myself. And I thought, have I actually lost the ability to study well? So I took it on me like a challenge that I have to, if not other subjects, at least in physics, I have to score well at my board exams. So anyway, so as it would happen, I ended up scoring 90 in physics that board exam, and I really felt vindicated. And another nice thing that happened was that all through my 11 years, I never scored above my cousin, but in 12th, I actually ended up scoring more than her. So, and that was the last year of school, and somehow in some sense I finished in style, if I could say. And it happened by itself. And this thing has always kind of been in my mind, this idea of competition. Everything around me, everybody around me gave it a lot of importance. And the idea of comparison was always there. And I somehow didn't agree to it. I found it illogical, and slowly, progressively, I started, in some sense, developing my own idea for it. It is still there in your field, it's there in every field. So I always felt that, and that's what I also told myself, I never studied with an objective that I should get more than her, because I thought that was in some sense self-defeating. That you're doing something to get above somebody else. So I took it on myself that it's about bettering yourself. Like many of them also say that you only compete with yourself and things like that. But I really do believe in it. And it's not really to prove to somebody else, but to yourself. And if you're feeling a sense of progression in some way, I think it's good. And it was the time when you write all your engineering exams, your entrance exams. So I also took all the entrance exams, and invariably all of them thought of engineering. They didn't think of anything else. And if you thought BA or some degree, they would think it's like a demeaning thing. Yeah, BA, how do you do BA? What is BA and all that? So it was understood that if you went to any degree college, it's because you did not get through any engineering colleges, and so you were not good enough, so you ended up there. So yeah, so I was again scored well in 12th, so I got a merit seat in a college here in Bangalore, MVIT. But I basically went with this aspiration that I'll start a group and I'll have a group dance, going on, and we would go to different fests and we'd compete and I would choreograph and things like that. So slowly this small exercise started where I would watch some movie or some scene, say a slightly difficult scene, which would be at that time I thought getting emotional and being able to cry, etc. was very difficult things to do. And I would lock myself in my room and I would try doing them, and I could do them. So I slowly started getting this confidence that possibly I can also act. And most of all, I enjoyed that a lot too. So slowly it started getting deviated to acting, and then of course when I thought of acting at that time, I always thought of cinema. I had not even seen a single play in my life till then. At that time, the actors who inspired me were Nasir, Om Puri, Manoj Bajpayee, and all of them. And I saw a similar background. They all came from NSD, theatre and things. And there was a small section in Indian Express which used to cover their interviews, and I would cut them and keep them. So that's how I got interested with theatre. I thought I should start with theatre to build myself as an actor. I was in college with these other three people who had also done theatre workshop, and they were also interested in pursuing theatre. And no theatre had happened in my college till then. My college had already finished 15 years, and people didn't understand they understood what drama acting meant, but not what theatre is about, or things like that. So anyway, all four of us got together and we decided that we'd start a club in college, like a group. So we named it as GAP, G-A-P, the full form of which was Getting Across to People. And so what we thought we'll do under this is that whatever we learned, whatever exercises we learned, activities we learned, we'll pass it on to our juniors and something might come of it. We'll write a script, find a script, something. So around this point, the group which gave the workshop to this four of us, they handed over a script to us and said, you guys can work on this. Just try and develop it. If you develop it into a small performance, call us, we'll come and see it, and we'll give you some feedback, and then we can progress like that. So we took it very seriously. All four of us would meet at one of my friends' apartment complexes in the clubhouse. We would meet there, rehearse. We got another lady, we needed a lady character. I remember I played my first role, which was Death. I played Yamaraj. Just a small 20-minute piece. We put small rocks posters in the lifts, told everybody went to each house, Sunday morning 10 o'clock, please come to watch us. So they all came, and a few people came and put up the performance. It was nice. The first time we did it by ourselves. So in that group, there was one person who was sitting, who I don't know how he got to know, but he was there. And after the performance, he met all of us and said, you know what, he seemed like a slightly experienced theatre practitioner, and he said, I'm starting my own theatre group, and we're going to be working on weekends, and why don't you all four of us join us, and it'll be great. So we felt elated, man. We can do like theatre professionally outside, and it was great. So we also, we're definitely completely kicked about it. So what happened after that was weekends, most of Sunday, and a little bit of Saturday, went for my theatre activities with this particular group. And the rest 5 days was theatre in college. Every day we had some, at least even if we were meeting for 15 minutes or 20 minutes in the auditorium, we would still meet, discuss something, share some script, some idea, rehearse one thing. But invariably every day we were doing theatre. And that was also a phase where I slowly started becoming the backbencher. The lecture is going on and I'm designing my play in a sheet of paper behind, writing my scripts, possibly some dialogue somewhere. So anyways, we got the play ready, we got some actors ready, we started rehearsing it, and we had been to an intercollegiate festival in Davangere the year before that, and we lost miserably and came back. So we were, up, this time we're going to get our script, blah, blah, blah. So we got ready with this play, and we had some set and things. The previous play didn't even have any set. And none of us knew how to make any set, but one of our friends had done some work with some theatre company near Rangashankar or something. So he would come help us. And we used this PVC pipe to make something and all that. Anyway, we went to Hubli with all these things, and I remember we went on lorries, it got wet and everything. It was very problematic. We reached that night completely drenched with our set and all. The next day, they pick slots for when you perform. So our slot was around 12:30. So 12:30 we put up our set and we go, and in the audience is nobody. You have 4 judges sitting with 4 books and they're looking at them. Nobody in the audience, completely empty, not a single soul. All of them have gone for lunch. So it was quite a demotivating start, but we started. And as the play started happening, and I was the only person from the audience because I was the director and I was watching it, slowly each piece of the set started falling. So the PVC pipe, one pipe fell off, so the roof started dangling. So you had non-actors come on stage to just hold the set. So it was that miserable. And the actor was doing it, couldn't understand it was falling, so he had to still play his part. So it was quite miserable. It was one of the worst performances on stage. And as soon as the performance got over, all our set was pretty much on the floor. And the entire team was completely dejected. Like one of the 4 people who started the group, I remember he went backstage and he just threw himself on the floor, patar. I thought he broke his bone or something, face or something. He was so dejected. Everybody was crying. And I was supposed to be this leader who directed and whatever. And they all thought, Vivek cannot cry. So they were all looking at me and crying. But I also ended up almost breaking down. And when they saw me break down, the ones who were on the verge of breaking down also started crying. So we were just all crying together. And then we came back completely dejected. All your friends asked me, hey, how was the festival? And you were like, yeah, it didn't go well. And then we had a meeting, the group. And so the meeting I suggested that, I think we can't really pull this off. So possibly we should just, close it, give it a new play, start a new chapter. But pretty much everybody except me at that point said that no, we failed, but we still believe in the play. Let's learn from our mistakes and let's do it again. So I said, where do we do it again? The fest is over, the next fest we can't present the same play, where do you do it? So they said, no, we have to dream bigger, we have to do something. And they were all completely charged because they had wept that day and they felt, embarrassed. So that meeting was quite crucial in the auditorium, and we decided that we are going to hire an auditorium, have tickets, and do this play full-fledged on stage like a show, which is really unheard of by any engineering college do it. Other degree colleges possibly do it, but any engineering college, only RV college was doing some theatre, but nobody had done a ticketed show in an auditorium like that. So I said, okay, so we're all geared to do it. So basically for this you need money. You need money to hire the auditorium, you need money to... So where do we get the money? So I met the principal, he said, no, what is this, why do you need money? The management has never given money like that to any group to do anything. But somehow I met a teacher from biotech, which is not my subject, but he was appreciative of somebody doing theatre. And he's still my friend, and he's still my teacher. He's a very dear person to me. So he was very encouraging and supporting, and he helped me to meet. So you had these trustees coming to college for some talk, some major meeting or something. So he knew somebody, and slowly in between the meeting, he got me to meet this one trustee. And I met him and I told him, he asked me what do you want to do, blah, blah, blah. And in that meeting, he told me that he gave me 20,000 rupees to do your play. So that was again a great moment. So, and I actually would get these letters from the trustee home. And it was it's quite an uncommon thing that a student would get a letter from the trustee about money or whatever. But anyway, we got the money and we started full-fledged work on this. We booked the auditorium. I think the show was on 2nd of April or 3rd of April. And so this was my greatest experience in my college life. Because I was heading a 40-member team. And I remember that picture very clearly in my head. In this notebook I made a tree with different branches. And each branch meant each team. So one branch was set design, one branch was actors, one branch was marketing, publicity, everything you can think of, all of that was there in the tree. Every team had a team leader, and within the team there were people, so totally 40 people including actors, everything. And we made our own costumes, we made our own set, we got our own wood, we cut the wood, we did everything ourselves. We transported them, we did publicity, we printed tickets, and we had our show. It was we only had one show. And it was a 530 seater and we had a full house. And I mean, everybody just came together, and even my parents had come for that show, and it was a huge success. It was very well received, and it was also very difficult for me because I was also, as a writer and director, I also acted the main negative part in the play. So that was a great moment of elation. That was also my final year of college. The next month was my final exam and I would be out of college. So for me, in that sense, it was a perfect end. Perfect end of all that I tried with theatre, perfect end to reach the best possible confidence about myself or what I can do with theatre. A perfect end also to tell myself that I can possibly pursue this a little seriously beyond college. So it gave me a lot of confidence about what I was doing, and it was a great moment. So I got placed in this company called iGate. I don't know how. Even in the HR interview, I only spoke about theatre, and they asked me why, if you like doing theatre so much, then why do software? And I gave this classic answer that on the weekends I do theatre, I'll be completely fresh, and for Monday I'll be like completely on there. You won't have this Monday blues problem with me. Unless you do something you really love, Monday morning I'm back. They really bought it. Now from here on, life gets a little dramatic. So I had, like I said, I was pursuing acting. I want to be an actor, blah blah blah. So at that time I got to know that FTII in Pune had restarted the acting course. And many of the actors who I liked came from FTII, so I thought, man, I should also at least try. So my only idea was, I will go apply, write the first initial test and come back and see what FTII looks like. What is that space like? I was so fascinated by it. So, and my parents were a little shocked, why are you writing FTII exam? I said, no, I'm just going, I'll get kicked out on the first round, I'm just from Bangalore, what do I go? So I just go see and come. So they said, okay, my father had relations in Pune, so I could go stay there, whatever, it was quite comfortably possible. I went, I wrote the first test, which was just some aptitude test. So I saw FTII, I was completely, fascinated by the space, from here these filmmakers have come out and blah blah blah. I wrote the first test, I came back, after 2 months I got a letter saying you've cleared it. So my parents got a shock, hey man, you said you will not clear, what is this second you've cleared it? I said, okay, I don't know how I cleared it, but okay, it's happening, let me go again. And I just go, this round definitely I get thrown out because it's an audition, you have to act and show. And you have people coming out of the way, there's no way it will happen. So I prepared something, and I think I played one of the parts from the play that I wrote. So I went to FTII and I had the audition. And I finished, and they asked me a couple of questions, I came out. And again the letter came saying that I've cleared that too. So, and they're calling for the third final round, which is a 3-day workshop, which is September 26, 27, 28. And 28th was my date of joining at iGate. So that was a crucial point. So I am telling my father I have to go for this, 3-day workshop. I said, how can you do, your company joining is on 28th? So I was like, okay, how do I handle this? And I can't let go of this opportunity to come this close. And I even then thought I will not get through it. But 3 days workshop, you will be with actors, you will do stuff, you will know where you stand. I wanted to do a reality check of how good I am, how bad I am. So anyway, so my father said, okay, I can speak with the HR and possibly you can join in the next batch. But you'll join IGET. I said, yeah, surely I'll join. I'm not going to get through for sure. I mean, this is like an all-India selection. So I went to FTI again, and we had this 3-day workshop, and I gave it my everything. I really did. I don't think I can give it like that even today. So we had like, our session would start at 7 in the morning, go on till 12:30, and you would have homework and come back again next day at 7. So, and I did it very, like, totally in it. And we had one session where you had to dance for some 45 minutes, 1 hour. And I gave it my everything, and I remember coming out and my leg was bleeding, my feet. And one of the actors who were already there, she came up to me and she said, "You're good, you will get it." So it kind of gave me some confidence also. It was all going well. The first 2 days I thought I was doing well. The third day morning was my joining at IGET, actual joining. So I just called my father to ask, "Did you speak to the HR?" So I went and he said, "I spoke and they didn't respond very well, and I think it's a very bad start for you. But what are you doing? Why are you doing all this? You're supposed to be here. What are you doing in FTI? What the hell are you going to achieve?" All that. That was very demotivating. I had just finished my first session. You just get a 15-minute break for your breakfast. I went running, made the phone call. That really broke me. So that day, third day, was a crucial day where you had some solo things to do. I couldn't focus, and I kind of started deteriorating in my third day work. And I remember the leader, the group leader for that, taking me out and, "What's wrong with you? You're in the top 3. What's wrong with you? Why are you falling? If you fall now, you'll be out." But somehow I couldn't bring myself together. That day got over, and I was pretty sure that I will not be in. So I came back, and the results came out, and I was not in. So, yeah, whatever. I was quite dejected. Whatever. Then you joined your company. No, you've not joined your company. So this is another classic twist. So 2nd November was my joining in IGET. 1st November around 11 o'clock, I get a call from FTI. And my father is busy attending a very close wedding in Kerala, some close relative. And they said that, and I was 2nd in waiting list. I have not got selected. So he said, for some reason due to some medical issue, 2 of them are not joining. So you are, and of course they don't ask you, do you want to join? You obviously, you should get people coming. So he said, come quickly, whatever, do the payment and start whatever. Do the things that has to be done. And I couldn't believe that. And I've actually got an opportunity to go. And I actually made friends with another guy who also gone through called Vinay, who's now is doing well in the Malayalam film industry as an actor. So both of us were very clear that both of us are going to be there. We were the only 2 Malayalis, and we already got along in the 3-day workshop. We became friends then. So I called up my father and he was in the middle of the meeting, and I said, I've got a call from FTI and I was like, he said, "What's wrong with you? Tomorrow you're joining IGET, go there, forget all this, and just forget it." And I really had the courage to leave home and go. I would have done it. But the only problem was that you had to pay 1 lakh as tuition fee. So 1 lakh tuition fee each year. So I could not get 1 lakh from anywhere. So people did take loan and all that, but you don't take a loan, you have to need your father's signature, right? So I thought a lot, how can I get this 1 lakh? There's just no way I could do it. So yeah, so I had to come to terms with it in a very difficult way. And the next day I went and joined IGET. So that was also a time when you're looking for auditions where you can go to some other group, get some work somewhere. So at one such occasion, I got into one, so let me talk. So at that time I got through an audition which Mahesh Dattani was conducting. So I don't know if all of you know, Mahesh Dattani is a very established playwright, English playwright from India. He's the first English playwright to get a Sahitya Akademi Award, and he's really good in his job. His plays are also studied as part of academics all across India and also different parts of the world. So he had come down from Bombay to direct a play, and I got through the audition to play one of the lead parts in that play. And that was a turning point for me because I didn't believe I could do it. I thought I'd just go see Mahesh Dattani audition in front of me, that might be inspiring enough. So I was playing a hijra in that play, which is very difficult. But he was very encouraging, he thought I could do it. So as part of that, the production really helped me. I would go to meet hijras in the place where they live. I've had tea with them, I've traveled with them, they've come with me to rehearsal space to help me get the body language. And I've gone to meet them in the evening where a lot of Hijiras thought I'd come for something else. And they sat on my bike saying, let's go now. I said, no, I'm not here for that. So I had a lot of interesting experiences, but that was for me by far the most challenging role I've played so far, and I really went to a large extent to transform myself to play that part. So till then I was really thin, and for that part I really put on a belly. I shaved off my chest, I got the eyebrows done like how the ladies get it done. I grew my hair in the back. And my manager was shocked to see me like that in the office. What's wrong with you, man? You're not neatly dressed. What's all this sport really in this? Completely shaven and no side locks. And I look really weird. I'm sure I did. But yeah, but that was a great experience for me, a great learning experience. I had 2 shows of it. And Mahesh Zatani also had nice things to say. And one of the inspiring compliments I got after the play, it happened at a Star Hotel. We unfortunately had only 2 shows. We were supposed to travel to different countries, but kind of production fell apart. So one of them came and told that I didn't know it was, I thought it was your trained Hijra playing that part. So that was quite inspiring for me. Anyway, so that happened, so that's where I met somebody else and the ball got rolling like that. But yeah, so it was going on like that, and there came a point where I got an opportunity where I could quit my job and work in a school doing theatre with children, and I would get some income, and I could just do it like for 2 hours a day. So it was far better than going to an iGate, doing the software job which you hated, to doing 2 hours of theatre, only 2 hours of work in a day, and the rest of the day you have to read and do whatever you want. So on that note, I quit iGate. At that point, suddenly my mother fell ill. It started as a regular cough and things like that, but it was not getting cured, and it was really kind of worsening. And suddenly, this was a little difficult phase of my life. Around mid-April, I was in a relationship with a girl. She, without giving me any reasons, just dumped me. So that was difficult for me to handle. And then around May 13th, my mother was diagnosed with cancer. And it was told that she's in the 2nd stage. So we thought, she would come out and things like that. And that was also the year when I was applying for FTI for the 2nd time after 2 years. So I finished the 1st round, and I got the date for the 2nd round. So around July, after my shows for play, around mid-July, one of my friends from first stand, he's my friend, still my friend. He told me that it's actually not the 2nd stage, it's the last stage. And I think you should know this, and you're planning with FTI very seriously, but she might not be there beyond September. And that really hit me very hard, because I had no idea about this. So then, so there were fluctuations, and we tried what we could, but it didn't work. And then she got admitted in a hospital. I went to Kerala, I was there. And 11th of August was my 2nd round of FTI at Pune, in Pune. And my mother's thing was deteriorating. It was like she could die any moment. But I still couldn't think of not going to FTI. And the audition, I didn't do my best because I was upset and things, and they also didn't give me enough time because they felt this guy is just being suddenly pushed in the other, when his name was not there. So it didn't go really well. I reached back quickly that night itself, and by the time I had come, my mother had passed away. So for me, the idea of death has been a very important idea in understanding life, because I have grown to understand that one needs to appreciate death as much as one appreciates birth. And actually speaking, my relationship with my mother became the best only after she died. And how I explain that is that I always believed that if she knew and if she saw me in rehearsal space and doing what I am doing, then she would never oppose me doing theatre. I always believed that. But she would not see it. But after she died, I could have her wherever I wanted her to have. I wanted to have her. So she would be there in rehearsal space I sensed that, and I thought she was approving of me, and that gave me a lot of strength. So my relationship with my mother was very strong after she died, and she was always there with me. And then I came back and I did my best work as a director after that on a play on which I worked for 5 months, and I dedicated that play in her name, and I kept one lamp on the corner of the stage, imagining she's there on the stage for me, kind of thing. I didn't have a single inspiring teacher all through my school days or in my college life. Not a single teacher inspired me in any subject. And I was really interested in physics, I still am. But they were not, it was just not there. Possibly it was good for me, I don't know what. So that was also another reason where none of the teachers would inspire themselves to even come and teach. So I was in search of an acting teacher, and I was pretty convinced. I got through a course in London, and before I was going there, in between I happened to meet Adil sir in Assam. Adil Hussain was played the lead in his film, Essence and Fatigue. So when I met him, I spent a lot of hours, had a lot of questions about acting. I spent a lot of hours talking to him about acting and attending his classes. And when I met him, I understood that a couple of things. One is that there's a lot of knowledge about acting and all of this here in our country, India. You don't have to necessarily look outside. That's the first thing I learned. The second thing I learned was, don't act. It was a very classic thing. He said, if you feel, I mean, if just a hypothetical situation that, there's nothing on earth, you're the only person alive, there's no food, water, nothing, you have no relations, you're completely alone. Imagine a place like that. And if you feel that even then you only want to be an actor, you only want to do acting, only then should you pursue acting, otherwise you should give it up. So ask yourself very honestly if you really want to act. And they also told me that the reason for your acting shouldn't necessarily be about fame or money. Those are consequences, and it will happen. But the actual reason should be that you really want to do it and why you want to do it. And if you really, really want to do it, otherwise you should not be here. So he was one inspiring teacher, who was still a very inspiring human being in my life. And I think he's talking more about life rather than acting, possibly. I think the most crucial thing really is to be honest to yourself. You must have heard it at many places and different people saying it, but it's really very, very, very difficult to be truly honest to yourself. And the classic example I can give you for that is I've been studying the Mahabharata for the past year and a half or so, and the most ironical thing I found in the Mahabharata is that at the end of the story, Duryodhana ends up in heaven and the Pandavas go to hell. So that was a classic question, because you see Duryodhana as the antagonist or whatever. Some of the explanations it tells me is that Duryodhana was very honest to himself. He is consistent through the story of Mahabharata about his enemy for the Pandavas or Yudhishthira. So that I think is really the clue. I'm not saying that you have to be like Duryodhana, the enemies of people, but to be honest to yourself, I think that's very, very critical to your conscience. Whatever choice you're making, and it will definitely demand a lot of courage to be honest to yourself. And I also believe that if you take that path, then it will not be easy, but somehow you sense something which is good about yourself, and there's not much space for regret, which will come. And another thing is also, especially with theatre, the money part is very, very difficult. You really don't make money doing theatre alone. And that is also a very important question which bothered me. And Adil sir told me that, if you're really pursuing it with all your heart and soul, don't worry, money will not be a problem, it will come. And it really has come. I've not made lots of money, I don't have any savings or anything like that, but I've not really had to struggle with money. I was able to fund my wedding, I'm really okay. I don't have problem for money. At the same time, I don't have the security that, okay, there's a lot of money in my account. I don't have that. But it has been okay so far. So until now, at least, somehow when something is, your bank account is getting low, something will come up somewhere. And so the ball is always kept rolling. And I really believe in that. There's another thing which also has bothered me as a question is the question of destiny. So people talk about, and I've heard this a lot in the family, you might not be destined to be something like that, you might just fail, whatever. And of course, I appreciate the space of astrology. There are astrologers, and I've also spoken to a couple of them and things like that. And I believe that, the time you're born, etc., etc., it does put out some map, as to how your life will go. And I kind of believe in that science. At the same time, I feel that with the power of your intention, you have the power to influence that. So, if your intention is really strong, then what's written for you can be changed. is what I feel. So I believe in destiny, at the same time I also believe in the ability to alter it.